Hey, what's going on, y'all? I haven't live streamed in a long time, so I thought it'd be fun to jump into a live stream and show you guys what I've been working on. I've been working on a lot of different records, so singer-songwriter stuff to rock records to soul records.
Hey, what's going on, y'all?
Etc.
I haven't live streamed in a long time,
so I thought get a little feedback of myself going on. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I just wanted to show you guys some of the records I'm working on, but mainly I'm going to be working on a song specifically. I just got drums back from a drummer, and it's a singer-songwriter style song. This guy out of the UK. So let's dive in and I'll kind of show you guys some stuff that I'm doing. And also, if you guys have any questions at all, you guys can just drop them in the chat and say what's up if you're here, Say what's up. Don't be a creep. Always, if you're in the background just creeping, it's awkward, it's already awkward talking to a camera like this. Like, let's be real. But yeah, let's jump into Logic. I've been using Logic Pro 11 with the latest update. A lot less bugs, a lot less crashes and stuff. So it's been working fine for me so far. And yeah, let's dive in. Let me show you. Here we go. All right, so we're loading up the session right now. It's just starting to go through the Ecamm software so you guys can hear it and everything. But how you guys doing? How's everyone doing? I've been working out really hard. I've been eating really good. I've been drinking a gallon of water every day. I've been going crazy with that shit. But summer's here finally. It's like super hot. It's like getting into the 80s and 90s here in LA. Which isn't too hot because it's kind of dry heat here. But been working on a ton of music. I got like 3 or 4 records ready to go for the summer. So I'm excited to drop those. Might give you guys a little tease in this stream if you guys want to hear some of that stuff. And yeah, let's dive into this song though. This is by Riz Riley. So he's out of the UK and really great guy. Really sweetheart. And he's got, that Beatles kind of sound to him. But I'll show you the session and what we got going on. And then I'm going to drag in the stems I got from the drummer. And we're going to replace the drums we have in here with the live drums, which there already is a stereo track of live drums in here. But they were just like, the timing was crazy and shit. So I just retracked them, right? So here's a little taste of this song that we're going to be working on.
Embrace the struggle.
All right, hold up. I got 2 different vocal takes going on. Ain't nobody want to hear that. All right, so I got this vocal take, and sorry, I've been basically going back and forth with him on production, like, hey, can we retake the vocal? The first one he sent me was really clipped out, and I was trying to make it work. And you could see I chopped it up. I always pocket vocals and stuff when I get them from singers and make sure that I treat them all right. But as you can see, if I zoom in on this, it's all clipped out. It's like he was hitting his preamp too hard or converters or something, but pretty clipped out. Pretty messed up audio. Kind of killed the dynamic range of everything. So I was like, hey, can I get another take of this? So he's singing all this through an SM9 or SM7. And we have just some Auto-Tune Pro on here. Just light tuning right now. I'll go through and I'll melodyne all the vocals. Got the Pro Q3 doing some ducking and stuff. I'm just doing light EQing to shape it. Pro DS, great de-esser, UAD 1176. Opto compressor. This is from Softtubes. Really great compressor. I love this one on vocals. And then I got another EQ here, which I don't know if I really need that, but another Pro DS and then a vocal de-esser. Yeah, lots of S's. He's using a Rode NT1A microphone, and those microphones just sibilance to hell. Right, because the microphone is an Australian company, but their capsules are Chinese-made capsules. They just sound like shit. They sound so bad on the top end. You can hear this is a Neumann, right? This is German engineering, German capsule. Even on the top end, when I hit my S's, it doesn't sound like, all sizzly and tinny. But yeah, the vocals and the top end on an NT1A really does not sound very pleasing. But let's hear the song.
Embrace the struggle. Don't let go. Amuse yourself. It's only love. I need somebody who knows the score, convinces me there's so much more. Won't you try a little harder? Won't you stay a little longer? Forget the lies you told me when you ran away. But you left a little light on, left a little light on. I need somebody who knows the score, convinces me there's so much more.
So just a little taste, and then obviously the last chorus is going to get bigger and bigger. I've done some string arrangements on here as well. I'll show you the strings that I'm using, just in case you guys want to, get into some good samples on strings. I'm using Contact 7 for some of this stuff, and then I'm using Musio for some of this. So this is a really cool library. I really like this one. It's really cool for like textures, and this is a glass blow. I'll show you what this sounds like. It's called Slate and Ash by Landforms, or I think it's Landforms by Slate and Ash. And this is just kind of like a texture of fifths, right? Like playing the open fifth. So you can hear kind of like that, like the detuning of it. I wanted that to happen so it's kind of creepy a little bit, and really cinematic. Like that's the idea behind this song for me. Kind of going like really natural and organic, but then also giving little flavors of Radiohead, because that's what I hear in what he's doing, especially musically, harmonic structure, etc. So that's kind of what I got going on there. With the strings and the libraries, there's the Ash, Slate and Ash one, then the Musio stuff, which used to be Cinesamples and still is. But Cinesamples, Cinestrings, really always just such a great library. I mean, all their stuff sounds really good. And this is really affordable. You can do like a monthly deal and you get access to the whole catalog of all their instruments. But Cinestrings Pro, Cinehorns, Brass, Cinebrass is really good. And then I have just different stacks here. So Cinestrings Pro here, sustains on the ensemble. And then these are just corded out for now. But I will like actually get players, like I'll get a violin player, a viola player, a cello player to layer in with the samples and maybe even make it like a quartet sound. I've recorded hundreds of quartets by now. You know, I worked with Mark Mothersbaugh, who was really known for Wes Anderson movies and quartets. So we did a lot of quartets. Woodwind ensemble. This is a really good woodwind, kind of like, I always like the timbre of woodwinds when you blend them in with strings, because strings by themselves, they sound like strings, you know, and then things just kind of take a two-dimension sort of thing. But when you blend it with like this kind of stuff, these texturized layers that are like pulsing and strings and then woodwinds as well, you get a really cool kind of balance of everything. And then here's the strings pizzicato as well. These are just pit strings from same thing. So Cinestrings Pro, Ensemble, and pizzicato. And all together, this section right here kind of sounds like really pretty live and big and lush. So I probably will kind of make it smaller over time with real players, but I like how this is starting to sound on certain parts. So this is what it sounds like by itself. Yeah, with the guitars and everything. So yeah, it just becomes kind of like this really beautiful kind of swimming bed and pad that kind of carries you along. And the vocal's really small and, you know, personal. And I like that. I think that we need to like really make it very sentimental feeling, and then have big like, whoa, like soaring like kind of areas. And I'm producing this record. I'm also mixing and mastering it. So I kind of mix and like tweak as I go, but the production is the first and most important thing. So right now, what we're dealing with, where I'm at with the song, is I'm listening to the drums and I'm going, okay, these are the drums he gave me, and I just have his channel strips on here, right? So he hired a player, I think, and maybe online or something, and then he put all these plugins on there, and the drums don't sound bad. There's also a little, I sent it to this parallel bus to give it a little thickness, but drums sound pretty good. But all I have is the stereo file of it, and he doesn't have stems for the drums because he was like, well, you have to pay more for the stems and everything. So he didn't do that. So I have these drums that are just kind of like, they have a lot of timing issues and they're not pocketed very well. And I didn't want to go through the process of like pocketing these pretty decent drums, the stereo file of drums. So I kind of produce these electronic drums, this idea here, which is still just an idea and a concept. And then it would go into the acoustic kind of organic feel. So here's the electronic drums. And this is mainly a loop.
Need somebody who knows the score, convinces me.
Right, so that's kind of like taking a little bit from that Radiohead electronic world and giving us a texture and a different vibe there when we first come in. Obviously, none of this is like really mixed, right? So there's still a lot of work to do on this record. But I get the elements together. I want the song to come together. I want to have all the elements for the song. So it could be that it needs some more like doubles on the vocals, harmony on the vocals on certain parts. It could be like kind of choral kind of stuff going on under this. It could be that it needs to be smaller right here, right? So I'm still kind of like playing around with different ideas. There could be an idea of an ARP or something going on, right? So the electronic drums, I'm just playing with that idea, and that's just a loop straight up. It's just this loop, and on this loop, a little delay, compression, OTT. I literally used his same exact chain. I just added the Pro Q3 and the parallel compression. And this is a really cool loop. I thought was like a good place to, a placeholder. And I'll produce the drums myself, you know, once I get the idea down. But they sound like this. This is what this loop is. Right, so that's like very cool to me, like having this like really kind of drum machine, analog drum machine style with like an electric guitar in like a garage or some shit, you know? And then I also added this other loop that is just like a texture of percussion. And I love this percussion texture, and I love doing this in production. I think it always tickles the ear, and the ear doesn't know why it likes it so much. It's almost like vinyl crackle, you know what I mean? But this is just the texture loop here that I popped in. It also kind of feels like rain to me, like rain kind of like trickling on a room, you know, where you're just like sitting in a room, like writing this like song about somebody, and you're like sad, you know, and like the rain is like. So I felt like that was like a really cool texture to put in there, and it just makes me feel like it's warmer. So like without it, you're like, yeah, it's cool still, but with it, that's just a little extra. And then the bass, he played the bass and everything in. I don't know, I might have to replay some things because I don't think some of these takes are amazing. And also I was starting to tune and melodyne the guitars, but I'm probably not going to do that. Let's be real. I'm just going to get rid of that. This is like the main acoustic guitar. And just to let you hear it, I might replace these guitars. So this guitar here, I actually would keep this one because I think it's a vibe. Like it feels like it's shitty, right? And I like that idea. I think he's going for that kind of like lo-fi shitty vibe. And it's perfect. Like it's perfect for just sounding like shit. It doesn't sound good to me, but it's perfect for the tonality of what this record wants. And it's also like a really cool vibe in the song. In context with these beautiful lush strings, you know, and this like drum machine, lo-fi drum machine kind of thing. It works really well in that context. So that guitar played with just the simple drums and the little seed texture. Like check this out. These together sound really cool to me. All right, and then I did something really fun here just to make a transition. I resampled the drums and just took the snare hit out of it. And then I did this hit transition where it like panned back and forth and like stuttered. And I used a plugin for that that's actually not out yet, but I'm doing a plugin of the week on it, and it drops next week. So I have something really special for you guys as well. I made a whole template with the plugin bundle and stuff. So and it'll be a free download for you guys. So I'll have that for you. Just for being subscribers and, you know, being showing up. Like, you haven't done shit, but I'm going to give you some free shit. All right. And then we have, all this stuff. I turned off a lot of this stuff. The bass in here is, I thought the bass tone was really good, actually. It sounds very, very Beatles, Hofner, rounded. CLA bass on this, little Pro Q3, just taking down a little bit of the bottom because that sample has so much sub in it of the kick drum. So it's competing with this bass. And the bass, I feel like, always just needs like that, 100 to 500 area to be really nice and round. So this is what that sounds like with the bass. So I doubled the guitar with like pizzicato strings to give it depth, right? So now this track goes from like being really personal to like feeling more deep and more lush. And I'm not sure I want to do that right away, right here, but I do want that to happen when we transition here. So this is a big transition part where we go from that kind of like smaller sound to this bigger sound, which this was like a big part I wanted to expand on and open up. Was right here, this transition.
So much more. Won't you try a little?
All right, I want that to feel like you're like going into like a bigger place, but also I want it to feel open. And the lyric of like, won't you try a little harder? It's like, hey, come on, we can do this. There's like a hopefulness to it, sort of thing with the lyric and the melody. Like, won't you try a little harder? Like, won't you stay a little longer? So there's like a really beautiful kind of romantic thing happening here. And I feel like bringing that romance out with that flourish coming into this more like bright open kind of sound. So we get rid of the electronic drums that feel kind of tight and like a ticking time bomb, right? Like a clock. Like, oh man, this is like dragging on. I need somebody that knows the score, it's like that feeling of like I'm in a dead end relationship or whatever, right? And then it's like, but hey, let's give it a shot, sort of thing. So I wanted to have like kind of this tension and release, which is a really big part of not only composition, but songwriting, production, arrangement. All that stuff needs to happen. You need that tension, release. And this song does that really, really well. We have these different parts that kind of like tense. Like the beginning is all tense until we get to this transition at about 55 seconds. Now, this, just so you guys know, this arrangement is really made for, singer-songwriter kind of style, but it's also very cinematic. And we want, like when I heard this from him, it was a lot longer and the arrangement was kind of like too long and too drawn out. But he came to me because he wanted a producer that knows how to get music into TV shows and film and all that stuff. And making this song to me stood out the most for me to be able to do that with him. So the idea, the end of the day, is like this song ends up in a TV show, ends up in a film, right? So we want those dramatic kind of compositional elements. It's not a pop song, is basically what I'm trying to tell you. All right, so we go to this part and we have this big open area where the drums come in and stuff, and everything kind of lightens up, right? We have the Oz, the ghost piano. This kind of ghost piano comes in. He had this in here. I'm not so sure this is like doing much, but I don't know. There's also a boys choir here, like an ensemble. I'll show you.
when you ran away. But you left a little light on, left a little light on. I need somebody.
So this is another part that I really wanted to open up, and this is still like in the works, right? Like it needs to be smoothed out. Again, I have new drum stems that I'm going to pull in here. But this like, I need somebody, like this is the same as this beginning where it's like really small. I need somebody who knows the score, right? And this is like a reiteration of that theme. A motif, if you will, if we're talking composition. So we're repeating that line, but in a different way that feels a lot more like desperate, a little bit more immediate, and a little bit bigger, and feels like it's more important, right? Like I need somebody. Now it's not just like, oh man, I need somebody that knows the score, you know, like I need somebody that's like equal to me, that understands, like it's a give and take sort of thing. And then this part, like desperate, like I need somebody. I got to figure this shit out. You know what I'm saying? So we want to escalate things as we go through the story and the feelings. So that's what this does. And I'll pull the new drums in here in a second. But what we get here is we get some new string parts, right? We have some new string parts. We have cellos come in. So we still have an orchestra, but we have different sampled kind of sounds on these strings, which I thought was really, really cool. So this transition here, listen to what happens with the string texture. It almost feels like a sampled from like an old TV show or something, or old movie, like a classic romance novel or something.
I need somebody who knows the score, convinces me there's so much
Right, and then we go into like a middle eight kind of idea where it just kind of falls off, and it's like almost like an exhaustion. It's like I need somebody that knows the score, and then it's like, oh fuck, should I just give up, right? And then we can go back into the end where we get more of that release after the tension. I haven't worked out the bridge too much, so this is what happens after the bridge though. We get much bigger and much more lush at the end.
Won't you stay a little longer? Won't you try a little harder? Won't you stay a little longer? Won't you try a little harder? Won't you stay a little longer? Won't you try a little harder? Won't you stay a little longer? Won't you try a little harder?
Right, so lots of editing to do with the vocals, but what I did here is kind of layered in my own vocals on this part because I thought it'd be cool to have kind of the in-betweens, and I'm still working on these vocals, that's why I muted them. They're not lined up, they're not tuned, they're not really making sense yet, but Riz was trying some stuff on the vocals and sending me passes, and I was like, So he's kind of giving me more than I need, and then I would go through and like sort through the stuff I like. So here's kind of what I layered in here. Just like a harmony, a high harmony, and then a stack bouncing off the lead. So so it's like, oh, so it's like coming in like a delay fashion.
Won't you try a little harder? Won't you stay a little longer? Won't you try a little harder? Won't you try a little harder?
And then he has this female vocalist that kind of comes in with like this haunting voice, which I really like, but the recording and the mix on it is just so bad right now. It's really crispy and like way too much. But this girl kind of adds this nice dramatic texture where it almost feels like you're getting a ghost of that person he's singing about, which I thought was really cool.
Oh, won't you try a little harder? Oh, won't you stay a little longer? Ooh, won't you try a little harder?
All right, so a lot of the channel strip, this is all his stuff. I'm like, this is way too much, you know? Like we got channel EQ. I put the de-esser on there. Spread, compressor, you know, it's like, whoa, why do we have so many plugins on this female vocal? Not necessary. I'll probably turn all of these off and start from scratch. But, you know, this is a lot of the times what I get from people, like especially artists that are doing it themselves. They're just like throwing a bunch of plugins on there. And it doesn't sound good. I don't think the female vocal sounds very good at all. It's very harsh and very bright. But again, I have to split my mind. I have to like not think like a mixing engineer right now because I'm in production mode. So I just try to like put that away and aside for a second. Sometimes when I'm producing, I'm like, I have to fix that. I can't hear that. It sounds so bad. But right now, like I focus on the layers and the next step, and the next step is the drums. So let's hit these drums. So this is the drums, and they're kind of out of time. Here's the main drums, the stem. I'll let you hear this against a click, just so you can understand. You know, they're just a little too loosey-goosey for me. You could say they're swung, but the truth is they're not swung. They're just bad timing, right? Especially on the fills, like when he's coming back in on the one, and it's just like, you know, you're like, what? So, I mean, you could see it right here, right? Like, bam, look at that. There's the one, there's that. Like, it's almost like, yeah, it's a pretty far off, and then this one's ahead, and I mean, you know, I get it, like the drummer's like really swinging, but it's too swung for me. So I'm gonna bring in the new drum stems that I have. Oh, and also I spent a bunch of time layering up the snares and the kicks. So I actually have these guys, these samples that I added to these drums at the end to make the drums sound bigger and fatter and better, right? So they sound like this. Yeah, there's a reason I muted those kick drums, because I probably didn't like them. So turn those off, mute them. But yeah, the snares, like, you know, just get fatter and stuff. I mean, that compared to what it was over here with the snares. Right, bigger part, bigger drums. That's the way I always look at it. It's like you have to build everything up, and it's not always just in your mix, right? A lot of people, I think, don't understand production very well. So they're like, oh, now I need to crank the compressor or some shit, you know, like, oh, now I'm gonna add saturation, you know? It's like, nah, man, just stack it with a sample or play the drums harder, you know? You know, maybe automate the overhead mics up a little bit so it becomes a bigger sound, or the room mics or something, right? It really depends on what you're trying to do, but let's grab the drum stems here. So I always put everything in the same folder. So here I have like my whole like, you know, Riz Riley stuff. And I have the drums here, and I have drum stems of take 1 and take 2. And I'm just going to grab take 2 because usually take 2 is better. Usually. And we'll drag and drop these. We'll go create new tracks. And this is just going to pop all my stems in from the drums. So we have probably like a kick drum in and out, snare top and bottom, room mics, overheads, etc. And I'll just show you what that looks like. He probably recorded in 48. That's why it's converting. Or maybe this session's in 48. I'm not really sure. Either way. Okay, so here I'm going to drag and drop this to bar 1, beat 1. And make sure everything lines up on the drums. So here's all the drums. I also got a stem of just the drum stereo right here, right? So I'm going to mute that, of course. And we're going to take these drums, bring these up where the other drums are. Or you can just actually leave these down here, and let's bring that drum stem down. All right, and then pop that right above the BAM, and just make sure it all lines up all right, you know. I can see that there's some differences here already. So it doesn't look like it's lining up. So let's make sure that we got it all lined up. If you want to waveform zoom on your stuff, you can hold down, I have it as a key command for Control Option Command up and down arrow like this, right? A lot of the times when I get stems from a drummer or something, I'll just normalize them, right? So you can literally processing and then just go to selection-based processing, and you can just normalize the tracks. So I think it's in here. I always forget how this works. Hum suppression, the fuck? Dynamics, vocal, forget how to do this. Create new track, change, here we go. So normalize. So just go here and you can go normalize on all the tracks here. So grab all of them, right click, go selection based processing, right? Oops, I already had it open. Duh. And we're just going to normalize all of these. And then we'll go apply. Oh, and also on the normalization, you can see this. See how this is at -1 here? And you also have like these where you can preview it. And you can also preview it here. But, you know, I'm not going to worry about any of that. I'm just going to hit apply. Now we should get these all normalized. And because the drummer, like obviously when we recorded, I recorded online with them remotely. But when we recorded, we made sure that we left a lot of headroom, you know. So you're recording at 24-bit, 44.1 or 48. You don't really need to worry about any problems unless they're in like a really noisy room, right? Because then you'll bring up the noise with the room. But you could see like this is like crystal clear, perfect. And I always do that. I always normalize them because I don't want to, that's like your first stage of gain, right? Is just keeping it normalized, especially on stuff that's like very transient. It's like, just normalize that shit. All right, so apply it on this one as well. I don't know why it didn't. I think I didn't have that selected. All right, so we have a kick drum in, kick drum out. We have hi-hat, noise. Noise is like a room mic. It's like a distortion mic. We have overhead left, right, snare down, up, and tom 1, 2, and then the drum stem. So I'm gonna kind of arrange these a little bit. I'm gonna go overheads, put them on top, because that's just how I think with drum mics. I'm gonna take the overhead left all the way hard, pan maybe not hard pan. Let's go like 45, 50. Yeah, 50 probably a good starting point. I don't like my drum overheads to be, you know what I mean? It just depends. I always have to hear them. But kick drum in, out. Hi-hat, I'm going to go, I think we did drummer's perspective. And then the noise mic right up the middle, snare down, snare up. I'll put the top up. And then tom 1, we'll go a little bit panned on tom 2. And there we go. Bada bam. Now, let's pay attention to where the drums are going. They're going to bus 17 to this drum mix bus. So we need to take all the drums out to the drum mix bus here. So we hit X to go to the mixer. And we'll go to drum mix bus, okay? And then that's going to go through all of our routing to hit the master bus. And then let's give ourselves some headroom because we normalized and everything should be our first gain stage. Our second gain stage is going to be these large faders, which are then going to hit the drum mix bus, which is our third gain stage, on and on and on. Okay, so let's hear and make sure that these all sync up as far as like how the song is looking. And so I'm going to mute the old drums. That's what I'm doing right now. And let's hear this in context. And if you guys have any questions while I'm going through this, of course, drop them in the chat. So you can hear it's actually off. That's where the fill is right there. So we have a pickup that we did obviously on these stems. So here's what we're going to do is we're going to find this downbeat, and I think it's right here. And what I do usually when I'm looking for that is I'll zoom in and then I'll highlight the cycle range, right? And I'll find out how far off is it, right? So in this context, it looks like it's 4 counts off. Now we're in 3/4. I think this track is in 3/4. Oh, no, it's not. I'm sorry. I was thinking about a different song I was working on. So this is going to be pickup. Actually, let's do it here because we know that this is the fill coming down. Sorry, guys. I'm just thinking out loud and trying to do this while I talk about it. All right, so let's use that as the downbeat, right? And you can see it's right there. And it looks like it's a little wonky. So it's not going to be a perfect amount of counts. You know what I mean? So let's do it like this. So if this is the downbeat, so that's the downbeat, and this is the downbeat we need to hit, then we're looking at right here, trimming this off the front. So that's what I do. I'll take this and I'll move it to the front. And it's just a starting point for me to know what I need to trim out of that, okay? So I have all the drum tracks selected. Now I can come in here and I can actually go here and put my cursor at the end of that, right? And let's just add it to this so it's flush with the bar beat. And then we will just chop that. And then we'll get rid of the beginning of all this, right? Super simple. And then drag this over to the beginning. I'm not really sure why this happened. He may have set up his session with some pre-roll or something, and I wasn't aware of that, right? So that's kind of what you got to do is just make sure that it's all making sense. So let's just try to get this downbeat tight, and then once we do that, everything else should line up fine.
Stay a little longer. Won't you try a
Now we can put these all in a group so that we can start to put them into time. I'm just happy that I have all these split out, but they are kind of loosey-goosey still. Like, it's not the best timing. I'm not like super happy with this drum performance. They do sound like what I want. They're like really dry sounding right now, so I can do a lot with them. But the kick drum I need to work on. I need to get it to like punch a little bit, be a little bit more round and fat, and a lot of mixing stuff that I need to do on these. But for the most part, it's timing first, right? Like, I need to pocket the drums, and pocketing the drums is like number 1, 2, and 3, right? So let's look at these other drums and see where they're coming in and kind of match these up a little bit so we can make sure that we're not like super far off, if you will. All right, so I'm going to mute all the drum stems here and make sure we're following the track, right? Right, now we have a pocket that's much better. So let's take all these tracks, go to the mixer, and then down here right below where the output is, the I/O stuff is, you can go and make this a group, right? So now you have all your drums in a group where you could turn them up and down, which is really nice. And everything will be grouped together. So with the editing, you can group it, right? So now if I go, for example, nope, that didn't work. Hopefully... yeah, you still have to select all of them. Not a big deal. Okay, so here's what we're going to do now is we'll go here, we'll select all these, we'll hit Option F, and we're just going to turn on flex time for all of these. And just let it do auto. Usually it works best on auto, I think. But if you don't like the auto, you can do like slicing, right? Which will give you a little bit better. I don't like to time out the fills and stuff, because I like the fills to be just a little bit more organic, like, you know, like it's okay to swing on the fills and stuff. But once we get to like the downbeats of things, I like to quantize the downbeats. So that's a big deal for me. Like if I'm going to time out drums, I need the downbeats to hit right. So right here is, I think, our first downbeat. Right, so right there, that's a downbeat. And we want that downbeat to be locked in. I also had him play the electronic drum part just in case I wanted to maybe make that an organic part. I mean, we can check it out. We can see what it sounds like. But I'll probably go with the electronic drums.
Need somebody who knows the score, convinces me there's so much
All right, so the timing is pretty good on his drums, but, you know, I'll go through and I'll just pocket everything. Like, you guys aren't going to want to watch me do that on the live, but I'll show you what I would do, right? I'm not going to go through the whole process, but I'll show you how I would do it. First of all, I'm going to take this out of the group because it's like the drum stem, right? And I don't want that to be kind of working with everything. So let's unmute these and let's go solo. Let's turn on our click. Always turn on your click. And let's pocket these pretty tight to to the grid on like eighth notes or quarter notes, right? Like, so like I said, I don't like to quantize all the ghost notes and stuff. I think that's how you get really robotic sounding drums. And it just doesn't usually sound very good to me. So what I'll try and do is like find my downbeats. So I know this is the downbeat here, right? So that's my downbeat there. And what we'll do is we'll kind of like get all of these pocketed in on that downbeat, right? So for example, take this guy, right? Whoop, just like that. And because we're in a group, it did it to everything, right? So this is a very important part of grouping, is when you're doing flex time. Because if you do flex time without a group and you're like moving everything around separately, it's going to get really weird, right? Another thing you can do, let's just undo that, right? And we'll go here and we have everything selected. We can go up to the region here and go to quantize and just go to eighth note quantize or quarter note, right? And eighth note will just quantize to the eighth notes, whatever we have as eighth notes. So bada bam, there you go. You're like locked in on just the eighth notes. And then you can go through your performance and delete any markers that are picking up ghost notes and other things like sixteenths that, you know, like it's pulling a 16th to an eighth note or something, you know what I mean? So let's just listen to this on a click and see what it did. See how that's like kind of like a like he had like a triplet kind of feel in there. It didn't quantize that stuff, which is very, very important. So as you can see, because the eighth note, it's not going to grab something that's like a 16th or a triplet and try to quantize that. So a lot of people fuck this up because they start to quantize to like 16ths and shit, and you have triplets in there and you have different fills, and then all of a sudden it's very, very robotic, you know? So I don't do it this way, but I'm just showing you can do it that way, and that would tighten up the performance really quickly. And then you can go through and undo anything that overdid stuff, right? Another thing you can do is just straight up go to quantize and do sixteenths. And what this will do is really, really get it tight. But again, you might lose those triplets, and then you have to go through and you have to know which parts are playing triplets, you know, or there's a 32nd note that got too quantized to the 16th note grid or whatever. So let's hear this just in 16ths, just so you can understand. See, like right away on that fill, it's like dut, 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 dut. Like it turned it into a 16th note fill, which it's not. Right? So you just wouldn't want to do this. So I'll undo this real quick just so you can see what happens right here especially. So this is getting it to a 16th note grid. If I undo, see how that all like now it's like, whoa, that wasn't 16th notes, right? So we have to be really careful with that stuff. I'm going to go back to quantize on eighth notes. And you can see that this does not grab those extra additional kind of ghost notes and, you know, 16th stuff, but it'll tighten up that pocket. So check this out. So now, da, 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 right? If you want, you can also chop the region and stuff and just do like triplet feel quantization on the parts you know that are triplet. So for example, we'll go in here and we will find the fill. And let's say the fill is from here. I'm just play with me here. It's not like this isn't exact, but I'm going to turn off. I'm going to go Option F, and I'm going to blade here, and I'm blade here. Okay. And then if I grab this stuff here, these regions, then I can take these and quantize these to a triplet grid, right? So that would be just going here and then going up here and hitting Option F again, and then going up to the quantize and going, okay, now this needs to be a 16th note triplet at 24ths. Now we're going to get a really nice pocket there, but then if we go over here, we can do a different quantization. So this will pocket it to the triplet. which is perfect, right? So before and after, I'm going to show you without and with. Right? So if you want things to be really tight, you can do that and you can quantize. And that's like a great way to just, you know, make sure that your drums, your fills, like, oh, I got a triplet fill right here. Okay, well, chop it and quantize it if the drummer's sloppy. If the drummer's just like not really on those triplets and, you know, maybe they're rushing to like, oh, it sounds like really erratic or whatever, or maybe they're hanging back too much. That's a great way to just get those little fills tightened up. But I'm not going to do any of that. Isn't that fun? I love it. But I ain't going to do shit. I didn't do shit. All right. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with quantizing to quarter notes. Let's try like, yeah, let's just straight up do quarter note. Right. So let's pretend like we want to keep all the ghost notes and everything else, but we're really just trying to hit the downbeat of the kick drums and things like that. Right. That's what I really want to do. I want to tighten up like the quarter notes. Really, I'd love to tighten up even probably just even bigger, like half notes or even the bar, and just like chop that down. But quarter notes is going to be good. So check it out. Now I got everything selected and I'm going to go to quantize. I'm going to go to quarter note. And now this is just going to tighten everything and lock to the quarter notes. So doot, 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 you know what I'm saying? It's not going to take any of my ghosty notes and stuff like this and fuck with it, right? So this is a great way to just pocket your drums really, really quick. That's how I do it, really fast. And then I'll go in and I'll like, oh, this 16th or this triplet fill needs to be a little bit better. Chop it up, do the 16th note fill or the triplet fill with your quantization, move it around. You can move each marker individually, right? So I'll just go through and I'll listen and I'll play back and I'll just listen to the click. Now, of course, it's going to lock in perfectly on the quarter note actual playing, right? But let's see what it does with all the ghost notes and everything. See how it keeps all of those, keeps all the triplet fills, all the 16th notes just perfectly, but the kick drum, perfectly pocketed, right? And if you want to swing that, you can swing that as well. But that's really up to you. You can come in here and you can use the Q swing and you can do an amount of swing that you'd want. But I'm not going to do that on this track. I actually just want to like lock it in because the drummer's already swinging like crazy on his triplet fills and all that shit. So just don't overcomplicate it that's what I think in my head. Once I have that locked in, everything is going to be based on that foundation for the drums. The drums are pocketed, they're locked in. Once they are, then I'm going to take that bass. I'm just giving you the really quick down and dirty. I obviously would go through and like, you know, make sure everything's perfect because that's just my vibe. I want it to feel right too. It's not about like everything being perfect technically. It's about like it being perfect for the song. You know, it's like that saying people always say like, you know, when they're talking to their girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever, they're like, man, you're perfect. And they're like, I'm not perfect. They're like, yeah, but you're perfect for me. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying? Like you have someone that you love. Your song is about how you think is perfect, right? I fuck with things and I'll play my song for people and they're like, oh, you should do this. You should do that. I'm not. Why would I do that? I did that on purpose. That's perfect for me. That's perfect for what I want to do because I'm a fucking artist and I get to do what I want to do. But if you guys don't understand the technology and you don't understand how to get that vision across, then it's not going to be perfect even for you because you don't know how to do that. right? There's some sort of disconnect. So you're always just going to kind of be like, I did my best, right? So now we can take this bass and play the bass, but also take this bass and pocket it to the drums, which is super, super important, right? So on these bass hits and stuff, we can find out exactly, and I already did this for the bass, so you don't need to worry about it. But the point is, and this is not doing anything. I don't even know why I have that. I'm just going to, it says affected bass. But for the drums, you know, like for example, like this kind of thing, right? Where you have these fills and stuff, you can lock in exactly where these need to be matching up with these hits, right? So for example, like this here, see how that's kind of like, that's sloppy top, right? So maybe the drums need to follow the bass, or the bass needs to be locked in with the drums. See what I'm saying? Just even on those little tiny things, it's important. That's how the pocket happens when the bass player is playing to the drums, and vice versa. The drums are playing to the bass. So you got to find which one you like better. But let's hear it with the bass and the drums together.
Won't you stay a little longer? Forget the lies you told me when you ran away.
So just so we're clear here, there's a lot of pocketing that needs to happen with the timing on the song all the way through. So you have to start with something though, because it has to be your foundation, and the drums and bass are the foundation. So I'm not going to just let the singer be completely out of pocket, because he's totally out of pocket right there, right? So if we get the pocket right with the drums and the bass, and they're on a click or they're swinging on and off a click, it doesn't fucking matter. What fucking matters is you have the groove. The groove is the groove. And now everything else needs to play to the groove and around the groove. Make sense? You guys can't have everything grooving. You can't have everything swinging. And a lot of the times when I hear amateur shit that people are producing, I'm like, yo, what the fuck is happening? There's no clock here. You know, like, what are you doing here? The bass is playing triplet kind of feel. Drums are playing eighth note kind of feel. Guitar player is playing some fucking weird math rock. Like, there has to be a foundation. If you're going to play like this kind of music, singer-songwriter, foundation is the drums. And they might be lazy. They might be swung back. But now everything needs to be pocketed to that. Or the drums can be very quantized, and you can have the vocalist swinging. The vocalist can swing on the drums, right? But you can't have everything swinging. If everything's swinging, nothing's swinging. Yeah? Like if you have the piano player swinging, and he's like swinging everything. When I say swinging, I'm talking about going to the in-between of the 16th, right? So you're talking about the triplet. That's the it's like hanging back and pulling forward. But if everything's swinging, nothing's swinging. So find a foundation. The drums can be the foundation with the bass. They're just together. They're pocketed. They're solid. They're on the click. Their fills may be swinging a little bit. But now everything else, the vocal can be swung a little bit. The vocalist can hang back on stuff. The vocalist can come ahead of the beat, right? But you can't have everything swinging is the whole point. So make sure you have a foundation. And that's really a wrap for this. Like, I'm not going to go too much deeper into this. I need to actually do the work on this instead of being on a live stream talking about this. But now I have to go through and I just literally need to pocket everything. So I'll pocket the bass and the drums first, and then I'll bring the vocals in, okay? Nothing else. Vocals next. And I'll get those vocals to swing perfectly on the drums and bass. And then I'll start putting in the guitars around the vocals, right? So now the guitars can be locked in. They can be locked to the drums and the bass, right? And the vocalist can be a little bit swinging, but not as crazy swinging as he is right now, because that's insane. So like, just to give you an idea of that before I get out of here, if I pull this vocal down here to this bass and drum, right? Just to give you a perfect example of what I'm talking about here. So if I have this vocal here, you can see where he's coming in and out, and you can hear him on the grid, like where he's at, right? See this? Super ahead of the beat right here, right? And it's like a big S. You know, I can tell it's an S. But check this out.
Won't you stay a little longer? Forget the lies you told me when you ran away.
Okay, perfect example right here. It's like he stopped singing to a click or something. Maybe he didn't have a click on and he was just listening to the music when he was singing, which is a big no-no, right? If you're going to sing a song, you're going to cut a record, you put the click on. No matter what, right? You have the click on in your headphones. Very, very important, because you're going to have parts where there are no drums. You're not singing to a drum, and then you get off beat, just like this is. Check this out.
Forget the lies you told me when you ran away.
So told me, rushed, ran away, hung back way too much, right? So you have all this stuff that's kind of like off, right? So this kind of pocket is kind of funky and it's not making sense, and it kind of feels weird and lazy and awkward. It doesn't feel professional to me, right? So like a professional vocal would sound like it did something on purpose when you ran away. Like everything would be smooth, right? So I'm just going to chop this up a little bit so you can kind of see what I'm doing with the pocket. So forget the get, right? The get is right here. The getting. You got to get the getting. And this whole thing right here seems a little rushed, right? And you can actually see it right here. Forget, get. So in between here, probably. I'll just kind of go whoop, like that.
Forget the lies you told me when you told me when you forget the lies you told me when you ran away. When you ran away. Ran away.
So see how the bass is like hitting on that note, the ran away? We have to get this, move this a little bit forward.
When you ran away. When you ran away. Ran away. Forget the lies you told me when you ran away.
All right, so now we have to like go through and just pocket everything. Like I would literally go in detail on the pocketing, because there's certain parts that are like rushed, certain parts that are behind, certain parts, and it's not like a swinging thing. Like to me, it's not like that's super musical. No, he did that on purpose, you know? It's like, no, it feels rushed. It feels like, that's always good. Ran away. Like it doesn't feel effortless. And I want vocals to sound effortless on a song like this. I don't want you to get distracted by his timing, right? So just listening, and I'm following the bass, because the bass is usually what the vocalist will sing to. It's like the root note, right? So you got the root note, and the vocalist will follow the bass with the melody on top, typically.
Forget the lies you told me when you ran away.
Now that breath there makes it feel rushed too, because you have a breath. So zoom way in, and you can't even see it, but it's right here, and it's getting clipped. See that? So because I moved it, I have to find the in-between on the breath and then fade that, because that breath will make it, it'll make it sound like he's coming in too fast when he's really not. You hear how different that is? Now check this out. Because of that breath, and maybe he's not the best with his breath control, maybe if we trim out the breath, it gives it a completely different feel, right? So check this out. Maybe. I always have to hear stuff, right?
Get the lies you told me when you ran away. Get the lies you told me when you ran away. When you ran away. Just left the left a little light on. Get the lies you told. Just left a little light on. 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 Left a little light on. Left a little light on. I need somebody. Somebody who knows the score. Who knows the score? Who knows the score? Convince me. There's so much more. There's so.
Another trick for, thank you, Ice Mike, for letting me know about the mic. Yeah, anytime that happens, if you hear that, just let me know. Appreciate it. So another trick I do with the sibilants, because of this mic is just not good for his sibilants, but you can see the S right here. You can clip it right here and right here, and you can literally go up to the region inspector box and just take it down, right? And then do a little fade here on both ends of the sibilants. And that's the S, and it just helps so much.
There's so much more. Much more.
So that more is like way out of pocket. Like, holy hell. More. Like, where are we coming in? Where are we coming out, right? So right here, I feel like this more needs to be hanging back a lot more. more. Especially with the bass line. So see what the bass is doing here? Bass is doing like a quarter note, eighth note kind of thing, right? So check it out.
Much more. Much more. Much more. Much more. Much more. Much more. There's so much more. Much more. There's so much more.
By the way, the drums sound like shit right now. Just so you know, I'm not sitting here going like, yeah, these drums are fucking great. They sound terrible. They sound really papery. They sound like they have a lot of boxiness to them, 500 area, just a ton of problems in them. And I will clean up all that stuff. But before I do that, I'll probably end up going through the drums and like building a fake room for them and stuff, because there's no room mics here. His room is really, really tight, so putting in room mics would be just really stupid. But there's also phase issues, right? So there's phase issues with your mics always with drums. Doesn't matter how good you are at this stuff, you're always going to get phase problems. Sometimes you use those to your advantage and it's great and it gives the drums a vibe, but sometimes it just kind of phases things out and it makes things less punchy and defined, etc. So I will end up using auto align on these drums, and I'll make sure that they're all aligned to each other. And maybe I'll do that in another live and show you guys that process. But these overheads sound like shit to me. They sound papery. Check it out. Yeah, definitely some phase issues. But I'll show you a plugin that I use for this that I love. You can take the kick drum and put the kick drum in and out in phase together. But I don't recommend doing that because sometimes there's a time difference between the in and out. And it looks like he's got those perfectly in phase already. The overheads, let's just check these. You can just zoom in on the waveform and you can see exactly where the phase is at. Those are perfectly in phase with each other, but they may not be in phase with the actual kick drum. And as you can see, they're actually perfectly out of phase with the kick drum, which is going to cause this really weird papery sound that we're hearing, right? So the way to solve that is you can do it manually, just by literally moving the waveform. But the way that I like to do it is I like to use a combination of things, right? So I'll put on these overheads and on the bass drum in and out, I will move this Pro Q3 one down. And we will do the Sound Radix Auto Align 2. Okay. And as that opens everything, we can go here and we can hit to get started, click Align, right? We'll click Align and then we'll press play. And now let's hear it as they are aligned. See how all the body comes back to the snare? It doesn't sound like papery in the overheads. The kick drum gets its punch back. All of a sudden, it's like a little bit thicker. This all compounds too. So if you start adding other, like for example, let's add it to the noise and let's add it to the snare up and down. I'm not going to worry about the toms. That's not really an issue. I'm going to strip silence the toms first, and then I will move the toms into place because it's something that I always do. I have to do it or else I freak out. I lose my mind. Just a perfectionist thing, audio engineering, weird thing that I do. But anyway, okay, so let's put all the auto align plugins. And this auto align 2 is just amazing. Like, it's one of the best plugins ever made. And it's automatic, so it's grouping everything. See, like, it's like, yeah, it's all grouped. Here you go. So now because we have all the auto aligns on the tracks, they're all talking to each other. I'm going to mute the hi-hat mic, by the way, because I'm probably not going to use the hi-hat mic. So to do that, I have to ungroup this. I'm going to take it out of the group, and then I'm just going to mute this. And now let's go grab all of these, open auto align, and hit align, and then we'll play that passage again. That's fucking magic, y'all. How do you not hear that and go like, oh, that's how it should have been recorded. That's how it should sound, right? Because the phase is aligned now. That's it. Magic. Listen to the snare on this like beginning part. Like it just sounds like he's hitting like weird papery like covered drums. And then it's just like, I'll turn on the auto line and it's do. You get all the punch and all the body and mid-range back.
Won't you stay a little longer? Forget the lies. Won't you try a little harder? Won't you stay a little longer? Forget the lies you told.
Like that's pretty magic to me, man. And that's where I start with drums. I don't just like start putting EQs and compressors all over them. Like align them, like get the phase aligned. Once the phase is aligned, if the drummer was good, the miking was pretty good, the room was pretty dead or a good room, it's all going to sound way better just being in phase. That is 100% the key to making drums sound good. I don't care what anyone else says. Like the proof is in the pudding. If you hear it and you think that A is better than B, then I don't know. You need to go back to the drawing board, man. You need to stop. Just quit. Just quit now. It's not worth it. You're not going to make it. You're not going to make it in this industry or with music or art. If you feel like, oh man, dude, you should go back to the unaligned stuff, man. That sounds way better. You ain't getting it. You just ain't getting it. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. I can't. Nobody can save you. Nobody's going to be able to save you. Right? And with toms, like I'm doing this manually right now just because I'm a crackhead. But you don't need to do this manually. You can hit, go in here, hit Control U, Control something. I forget what it is. But go to the window and open up Strip Silence. Where is it? I don't fucking know. Anyway, I got to get out of here, y'all. I got to finish this up. But I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. You got something out of it. And yeah, I wish I could show you where we started and where we're at now because like it's a big difference. But just with like auto aligning, getting things put together with the drums, showing you kind of like the production process and the thought process behind what I'm doing here and why I'm adding stuff and why I'm taking things out and, you know, how we're moving with the arrangement. Hopefully you guys got like a little tip or trick or something out of it and you're like, oh yeah, I should think like that, or that was a good way of thinking. And if you did, hit the thumbs up, you know, maybe drop a comment or something, show some love. All right. I'll see you guys next time. I'll try to do some more live streams. It's hard when you're really busy, but you know, I got a lot of new music coming as well. So we'll live stream. All right. Appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Peace.